Great day, good people. I hope all is well with you as it is with me on this day. Today's discussion is going to be about the reason why we must report our to you, the importance of reporting. I've talked about this in the past from experience, and I talked about it on my Beagle as well. And it didn't get much. I didn't gain anything but an argument between me and this man about why it's important to report once you have been had someone offend you or someone sexually assault you. Sexually assault, that's what we're talking about. And I got two videos that we're going to be looking at, and I'm about the same lady's situation. And her situation clearly lets you know why it's important to put these people away and get them labeled immediately, and not for you to be sitting around and allowing things to happen, because once it happened to you, it can happen to others. That's what you have to think about. So let's get into the video.
Astounding case out of Louisiana. A rape victim who'd been ordered to hand over her child to the rapist. And then on top of that, pay him child support. No joke. Krista Abelseth appeared on this program last night and told me that she was raped and impregnated by a 30-year-old man when she was just 16 and drunk, and 16 was then and is now too young to give legal consent in the state of Louisiana. So it was a crime, pure and simple, by math. She described to me how that man, John Barnes, found out about the child that she bore and then went after her for custody and got it. And when 50-50 custody wasn't enough, he went for full custody and got it. And when that wasn't enough, he demanded child support and got it. Everything about Krista's story was disturbing, but there were two huge things that stuck out. First, that John Barnes was a free man, despite the fact he raped a child, that Krista, the child, his victim, had filed a police report almost 7 years ago. The thing that stood out, that a judge would ever see fit to give that man custody of a child who is now the exact same age that her mother was. Her mother was raped by that very man. Tonight, however, all of this could change. Because today, the sheriff of Tangipahoa Parish, Sheriff Daniel, made a huge admission. He said authorities made a mistake. And he said he's now turning the rape case over to the district attorney. I want to read part of Sheriff Edwards' statement. He says, in tracing this case back to the time the initial complaint was filed on July 1, 2015, it was discovered that the report never made it through the proper channels within the department to be assigned for investigation. Absolutely dropped the ball. And we simply must own our mistake. This is a mistake, however, that simply has never been a problem before or since. And we must make sure to keep it that way. So that's that. They dropped the ball. They never started investigating the possible rape of a child.
Is that code still there?
Oops. The announcement came just hours after the presiding judge in the case decided to unseal all the documents surrounding the custody case. And those documents reveal a rare victim's rights being trampled. It also reveals red flags being missed or maybe intentionally ignored. And all of that may have put another teenage girl in the path of that rapist, his own daughter, 16, same age as the mom was when she was raped. I am joined.
Okay. The problem I see in this and that I have with it is the fact that the mom at 16, she didn't immediately seek help. There's no way that this man today would have been without, the label child offender, sex offender. And that would have kept her safe. And that would have kept a lot of other young ladies safe as well. That's why, I just, it's too late to fight this because you wait, like they said, 7 years ago, 2015 is when she decided to file charges against this man. You can't wait till you're an adult. You can't wait till it's over and done with because it makes things complicated for the legal system. Not only that, for yourself. There's no way that she should be sitting up here in this situation with this man's child. There is a lot that can be done ahead of time in this situation that could have been done to prevent her from enduring what she's enduring. If only back then, when she was 16 years old, she would have opened her mouth and let the proper authorities know. Doctors first, go to the doctor, go to the emergency room, so that she wouldn't end up having a baby by this man, for one thing, because there's preventions. There's things that can be done. But now look at where we're at now today. She's here in this bizarre situation that is far too often, from what I'm reading of the comments below this story and the other story I'm going to show, it's too commonly happening every day to women because they don't report right there and then. They wait till it's too late. So let's continue on.
Tonight by the person at the center of this case, Krista Abel Seth. And with Krista is Stacy Trish. She's the founder and executive director of the organization. The show, what a difference 24 hours can make. What is your response to the fact that the sheriff is now admitting they completely dropped the ball?
Yes, you did. You called it. They absolutely did. Drop the ball, which we all knew that already. Then admitting it is a big step forward, at least. So we have that going for us.
So here's something else that the sheriff said, and I'm going to read directly from Sheriff Daniel Edwards' statement. He says, additionally, it's important to know that the complainant, that's you, did not follow up on this matter until April of 2022. Upon receiving notice, a team of investigators were assigned to and worked diligently to delve into the facts surrounding the case. Due to the complex nature of their findings, the case was turned over to the district attorney. So they're putting the blame on you, it looks like. And as I understand, that's not the way policing works. It's not up to the victim to keep calling and chasing after and trying to find out what the results are.
But it is up to the victim to unvictimize herself, his or herself, and report it. report the invasion, report the offense against you, because no one else can do that for you but you. Only you know what has happened to you. And it's important right after it happens to go and get it taken care of at the hospital and then report it to the police with your evidence, because that's when you have evidence. But if you never do this, it makes everybody's job hard and your life harder. Because as you can see now, she has a 16-year-old daughter.
I also remember you telling me last night that you had called, not just once, but multiple times. Is that true?
That is true. So that part was false. What he said, I did call, I did follow up every, let's say, 3 weeks to a month for about 6 months. I tried to find out what was going on.
So then, okay, so they're admitting that they dropped the ball. They're admitting that this was really bad. But have they called you? Have they investigated? Have they done an interview with you? Have they asked for witnesses? Like, did they start the job today in getting this ball officially rolling? Or are they just saying, you know what, it's now up to the DA to do all that work?
My attorney did contact them and request a meeting, and we did go and meet with the captain, a detective, and a lieutenant. And we offered them all of the evidence, laid it out for them, birth certificates, DNA, witness contact information, and asked them, do you need anything else? What can we do to help you? We'll do all the work if that's what you really want, and just hand it to you.
Well, that's big. I mean, that is a big change. What about your daughter? Did they check on her? Have Child Protective Services been called in? Now that we officially have a man who is not only accused of rape, but by the math did the rape and has a child the same age as the victim he raped. So what's happening with your daughter?
To my knowledge, no one has checked on her. No one has contacted her or taken a statement or an interview as far as my case goes. They just said they're not involved.
Well, that's troubling. And I hope that that's the next shoe to drop, that at least someone comes forward and says, we're going to do some serious diligence here to make sure that your daughter is okay. Has your daughter ever expressed to you that she doesn't want to be there?
Yes, multiple times. Not just to me, to people in my family, friends, people that he knows.
How about the school, counselors, etc.? Has she said she doesn't want to be with your father?
Yes, she did go to the school counselor and told the counselor that she was scared, basically.
Has she ever tried to run away?
I don't believe so.
So Stacey, let me ask you something. Last night when the three of us were talking, Kristen mentioned something that sort of sent a chill down my spine, and that was that John Barnes had threatened her and said he was connected. So we looked through some of the dots to see about the connections, and we discovered something we thought was uncomfortable. And I want to get your thoughts here. John Barnes had done work, it seemed, for the sheriff, and he had the emblem of the sheriff on his website, which then mysteriously, when the media started, shining a light, disappeared. And then we discovered that the sheriff in this case has a very, very influential brother in one Governor John Bell Edwards. Governor John Bell Edwards is the brother of the sheriff in this case. And I told you his name was Sheriff Daniel Edwards. Have the same last name, and they grew up in the same place where this is taking part. We called we called the governor's office today, and we asked for comment, and we also emailed, and we got no response at all, and that was 8 hours ago. Stacey, do you make something of that? The fact that the connections he says he has may have gone all the way to the governor?
Well, it sounds like the same response I got, which is why I had contacted the media. Like I said last night, we called, our foundation literally called representatives, senators, any kind of law enforcement, legal, we could find, and we got nowhere. Everybody was told their hands were tied. They would get back to us and say our hands are tied because it's still open. It's still an open investigation. And I'm like, well, it's been open for 7 years. So what does this mean? This means that they get to keep it open for 50 years, and this victim is never ever going to get justice.
So I'm going to go over some dates here. This is like remarkable. I want to talk about Judge Jeffrey Cash. In this case, the unsealed court documents today we thought would answer some questions, but it actually made things even more curious, let me say. In April of 2013, John Barnes started paying you $428 in child support. And then in August of 2015, 2 days later, Judge Jeffrey Cash is assigned to your case. 1 year later, actually half a year, February of 2016, he grants split custody to Barnes. And then again, February 2016, you're also.
She should have never asked for anything from this man. He was paying her child support. That changed the story a little bit for me, because for one thing, you don't want to have a child by your rapist. I'm not saying have an abortion. I'm saying prevention. And going to the doctor, there are ways that they can prevent that pregnancy before it even happens. But her story is a little bit weird because it's like about 7 years ago, 2015, they're saying that's when she reported all of this. And then this is her documentation that she put in there. That in 2005, I think it was, is when she was essayed by this man. So she was 16 in 2005, but 2015, she is now probably in her 20s, late 20s, 30s, early 30s. And she was getting child support from this man. Then he found out he had a child with her. This is a complicated situation, but it didn't ever have to be complicated. That's why I talk about report, how important it is to report and seek help, because life can get really complicated. And now I see that it seems like they're blaming the police, and she wants to blame everybody but looking at herself right now and what she could have done better, and is to prevent her life from being so complicated and a mess right now. Because now her daughter's 16, and yes, she is in a dangerous situation if this alleged man that she alleges did this to her. And I mean, April 2013, as you can see, she asked for child support from him. She was receiving child support from him. I don't know about that. I really don't.
So order to start paying Barnes $78, and eventually that went to $117. We've got $74 on the screen, and I'll find out what the difference is there. But did Judge Cash make all the difference in your case? Like, did everything change when Judge Cash got on board?
Yes, that is exactly when things started to change for the absolute worst.
I'm very disturbed by one thing. There's court records that February of this year in this man's courtroom, you asserted in court before him that you had been raped by that man to be paid child support. And apparently he made note that he didn't think it was true because he felt like you only brought that up at a time when you were being threatened with contempt. I have a really tough time with this because I would assume that somebody somewhere said, Judge, all you need to do is do the math. You don't need an investigation. I'm standing in front of you and you have my birth certificate.
When else would I have brought it up? I was always being accused of contempt. I was always being attacked and being, portrayed as a bad mom or anything like that. And how else was I going to tell him or say it if not in court when I'm being basically attacked?
Let me see.
So let me, Stacey, help me with this because part of the issue, and I'm still struggling with this anyway, is that John Barnes, the rapist, says that Krista has given a cell phone to her daughter, and that when the daughter is around 14, maybe 13, 14, he accuses the daughter of sexting and taking racy pictures and posting racy pictures, and he says to the judge, I don't want that girl to have a cell phone anymore. And the judge orders you not to give her a cell phone. And then John Barnes comes back and says, you went ahead and gave her another one. But I recall on the show last night saying that you had not given her the second cell phone. Where is the evidence that you gave her a second cell phone? That maybe a boyfriend didn't give her a second cell phone? That maybe that didn't give her a second cell phone in order to make this assertion?
There was no evidence. There was absolutely no evidence. They did an ex parte in the judge's chambers. The attorney nor Krista were allowed to defend, have any sort of defense. Decision was made. That's it. It's done and over with. And the truth of the matter was that she can prove through her cell phone bills that there was only one phone given to her daughter. But yet she loses custody over a second cell phone that does not exist.
So here's what's uncomfortable among everything. The math says he's a rapist. That's just right there. The math. Number two. He doesn't have anything to do with this child for the better part of a decade. And then in the best interest of the child, apparently she's supposed to go live with a stranger.
Hold on.
Number three. So it's all regarding his cell phone.
Hold on. Okay. So they're saying they just said the math proves he's a rapist. They got to do more than just that. You can't go on what someone says. It sounds ouch. Oh no, I sound like an echo. Let me see what's going on here. I don't know. Let me see. Okay, I'm gonna take this microphone off. Can you hear me now better? Can you hear me now better? So what I was saying, let me know if you still hear the echo. Because I took that microphone off because I guess it's better. Okay, great. So basically, you can't just say somebody did something to you in 2005 if you never reported it. If you never reported it and they were able to investigate, take DNA from you, which was greatly important since you did get pregnant. You can't just say in 2015, I was raped by such. Now he wants custody of my child. That ain't gonna cut it because that's saying that you think that only you are credible. That's saying that you're thinking it's one-sided, that's end of everything. It's just what you said and what you have to say and nobody else. But the man actually has rights too. And if you wanted him to not have those rights, you should have took care of it in 2005 when you were 16. This man would have been immediately locked away, and he would have been labeled a sex offender. And she wouldn't be here worrying about her child or any child, by this man. She wouldn't have to go through the heartaches if it was a heartache. But now I see that she was asking for child support from him, which is, I mean, it's kind of hard when you were asking for child support from this man for you to, um, he came out of the woodworks because you were asking for child support. So now he knows he has a child and that he has rights to. I mean, it's complicated because she decided to make it complicated for her life. Instead of simply reporting what has happened to her in 2005, she waited to now. She waited until now. Oh, the video was echoing. I'm hoping that it will not echo because I only have it up once. And I'm hoping that it won't. Let me try to see something. Let me see if I got something underneath of this. No, I don't have anything else on. No, I don't have anything else on. Okay, let's finish playing and see what more mess they're going to talk about, because they seem to be thinking that under the thing that the law should listen to them. Her word is bond. Her word is good to go. That happened in 2005. If she said it happened, it happened. And it proves it happened because she's got a child 16 years old now, that's 16 years old now.
Phone, which is awkward, unusual. I haven't heard that before. Number four, your daughter a year prior had said in January 2021 to her guidance counselor that she'd been physically and mentally abused by Barnes. There is an allegation on February 23rd of this year that she believes her father had drugged and sexually assaulted her 2 nights in a row. You contact the authorities. She's taken to Children's Hospital in New Orleans, evaluated, where the doctor confirms there's evidence of forced entry congruent with sexual assault. These are your allegations. But what about the hospital records? Like if the hospital checked her out and saw these things, where is that paperwork?
We're reluctant to speak on that. We do have the paperwork, but there's so many things that are up in the air with the evidence and what's going on with the evidence that we just can't speak on that right now.
Well, when you can, I do want to hear, because any judge that sees a hospital report that corroborates what the young girl is saying is extraordinarily weighty evidence. Crystal, Abelseth, and Stacey, Trish, thank you again for returning tonight as this story just has taken off, and the developments are extraordinarily quick. I just know that tomorrow there'll be something.
Like I said before, you got to think about, once this happens to you, think about other young ladies that it can possibly happen to by the same person that perpetrated this RP against you. So she never reported it. She waited until she was getting child support from the man. She knew who her baby's daddy was. She didn't seem to have a problem with that. 2015, she finally reported. This is just, I don't know about the story. And then they say they have hospital. There's nothing that I wouldn't do to protect my children. And then I have to think, as a mother, I have to think way ahead of time. We have to think far in advance. We cannot just live on the moments. And we can't, just be in the moments all the time. Although we have to enjoy those moments as well. But we kind of have that ability to do more than one things at one, more than one things at one time. So it's important to think ahead, you know, about bringing children, period, into this world. About bringing children, period, into this world. Um, and who are we getting involved with in relationships, as well. Let me go ahead and start this other video. Who are we getting involved with? Sorry about that. Yes. Why was this SA case publicized? That's what I'm saying. I keep getting it in my and YouTube. I see it on my like I said, I see both of her stories, and I'm about ready to share the other story. She wants people, she's looking for help, but her best help was always herself. And she failed herself when she did not report it in 2005 when she was 16. She failed to report her situation. She failed herself. She had to live all her life like this. They think it's normal. It's no reason for this to be going on in 2020. There's no reason. I can see 1990s, 1970s, but now, or 1960s, but now in 2020, when we know so much more, no, this shouldn't be happening. We got so many laws put in place that would have protected her child, but she failed as a mother. She failed as a mother and have the audacity to bring us this story. It's too late for her child. She's 16 years old. And from her story, she's telling us she's already been invaded by the father. So this is frustrating. I know when I first heard her story on screen share, and on Isaiah, which I'm about ready to share his video. It's a short video, and we're gonna look at that. But my whole thing is report, 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 and that's what I put on the comments under the other video, because sometimes, let's see if I have that. Okay, here we go. Report, report, report. Oh, what did I do that for? Yeah, but she's not a victim. I mean, we don't know this. We just know what she's telling us after the fact. We're talking about 2005, 2006, 2007, 2008, 2009, 2010, 11, 12, 15. 10 years later, I should have known that, right? 10 years later. Is this the one? Yeah, that's the one. 10 years later, in 2015, she wants to report as been raped when her daughter was 5. 2015, 2016. I don't know. Her daughter's 16 now.
The Isaiah Factor Uncensored starts right now. And this is a wild one we start with on the Factor Uncensored. Welcome. Tonight we're pulling up the curtain and showing how flawed the justice system can be and is. A Louisiana mother is in the midst of a child custody battle with a man who allegedly raped and impregnated her when she was 16 years old. Krista Abelseth is now 32. She first told her story to my friend, investigative reporters Nakamura. Krista's alleged rapist has full custody of their daughter, who is now 16 as well. The same age he physically took advantage of Abelseth, according to a police report. Now, a court has also ordered the mother and alleged victim to pay the father child support, which she says is totally unfair. Krista is now fighting back. She wants her daughter back home, and to see the man she said raped her now behind bars.
You know what? It would make
The Isaiah Factor.
hold on. It would make sense if okay, let me go back. If she wasn't getting child support from this man, because that means that if she wasn't asking, this is what it means. If she wasn't asking for child support from this man, then that's further proof that she didn't want anything to do with him, that she kept everything secret. But she knew who this man was. She put him on a birth certificate. And she asked for child support. What is that about? What is that about? That's all I'm asking. I'm not trying to, she hasn't even proven herself to be victim. Because they're saying alleged. Because once again, people, unless you immediately report the offense, the ESA, to make, so that people can fight for you, so you can have the ball rolling in your court and you can be safe. It can be a little bit better for you because you have been offended. And when you've been offended, a lot, things are taken away from you. It can make you bitter when you never have found closure in a situation like those situations when someone has done something to you. You can go through life angry because you never got that taken care of. And this is why I'm saying it's important. It's critical. Because for one reason, she didn't even have to have his child. She didn't even have to have his child. But because she went through these emotions of normalcy and then, asking for child support from this man, and no one knows the history between them, they're just assuming, they're just thinking that it was a relationship. I understand there's a lot of people that don't report it. And that's why I say report it, because in the long run, it makes life a lot better for yourself. 100%. I said reporting is gold to a victim. Not reporting is not gold. It's a lifetime of a lot of things. So, like I said, it's important because now here she is. She's all right with him paying her child support, but when when the ball turns around on her, which she started the ball, she started this, and it's crazy.
the alleged rapist has full custody of their daughter, who is now 16 as well, the same age he physically took advantage of Abelset, according to a police report. Now, a court has also ordered the mother and alleged victim to pay the father child support, which she says is totally unfair. Krista is now fighting back. She wants her daughter back home and to see the man she said raped her now behind bars. Krista, for those who are not familiar with your story, take us from the beginning. What happened to you when you were a teenager?
When I was a teen, I was 16 years old. I was going to hang out with some friends, a couple of my girlfriends, and she wanted to go see her brother. So we went there. It was called Pine Street Pub, and we were hanging out with her brother and her brother's friends, and she was ready to leave. So she left, and John offered to bring me home. And he said that, he would give me a ride. I was intoxicated. I didn't have a vehicle there anyway. So instead of bringing me home, he brought me to his home. From there, once inside, he did proceed to rape me on his living room couch.
And from that point, you two had a child, not as if planned, but you were a rape victim and you had a child.
I wasn't impregnated that night. I found out when I was 9 weeks pregnant that I was pregnant with his child.
And you decided to keep that child,
This doesn't
right?
make sense.
Yes, sir.
Hold on. She's saying she was not impregnated that night, but she found out 9 weeks later. I'm about to hang it up because this really doesn't make no sense at all. How are you gonna say you're not pregnant that night, but 9 weeks later? I found out when I was 9 weeks pregnant. Mm-mm-mm. Binge thinker. I wouldn't be sitting up here talking about this if I didn't have experience in this, in my own life. And I talked about it before. I'm not going to get into it now, but I'm just telling you, it's something not right. I hope someone out there else that is listening can catch what I'm catching. I'm like, what? Because she literally said she wasn't pregnant that night, but she found out 9 weeks later. So is she saying 9 weeks ago, 9 weeks after the rape, she got back with him and they produced this child? I don't know. It's confusing. I don't know if something's wrong with this woman. I don't know her psychology, what's going on, but it's not fair to a person to have all this. She's an alleged victim and he's an alleged sex offender. To prevent all this mess from ever happening in your life, I'm just saying it's a lot easier, and to prevent other people from getting harmed. To prevent other people from getting harmed. Police couldn't find my when the thing that happened to me, he was free, and that's why it happened to me. But he had done it to other people, and the other people, I don't know. I think they did report it, but he's a serial. So I don't know whether they dismissed him but it wasn't until they were able to get hardcore evidence from me that they were actually able to go for him and get him and have him locked away so he doesn't harm anyone else. So I think it's selfish when you don't consider all the things. And I don't even think it's selfish. I think it's just thoughtless because you're not even thinking about yourself at this point. She didn't even think about herself. She's saying, I wasn't impregnated that night, but she was impregnated that night. It had to have been that night. And then 9 weeks, you find out you're pregnant. Yes, because you don't get pregnant. You don't start looking pregnant or feeling pregnant because that baby has to develop. So, of course, 9 weeks, you're going to find out you're 9 weeks pregnant after that night. After that night, because she didn't go to the doctor. This is how I know she never reported it. Because if it was a report, she wouldn't be dealing with the courts. The courts would have never gave this man custody because he would have been a sex offender. And he would have been in jail. He would have had a record. But none of that happened. None of that happened. So here we go. Yes, this is recent. And I'll talk about some other things too that's going on.
Sir, I did.
And fast forward to 2022 now, and what you have going on in the courts legally, and where you stand with your child and John.
So to take it back just further, in when my daughter was 5 years old and he found out about her, he started pursuing custody and things of that nature and in legal proceedings. And then the judge awarded him 50-50 custody, and that was in 2015. And then in 2016, I was ordered to start paying him child support. And then now here in 2022, the judge has awarded him sole custody.
Now, why did the judge make that? Because first of all, why did the judge give someone who raped you 50-50 custody of your child?
Because the judge, they don't have records of that. That's just what she says. They're not able to investigate that. I think the district attorney was nice enough to tell her they dropped the ball because they weren't able to look into something that she said. They didn't look into it. But how were they to look into a rape case when a rape case is hard to really, I'm glad I'm not in the legal system because it's you got to give evidence. You got to come with evidence. You can't just say somebody did something. It just doesn't work that way, and they take your word for it. But now, hopefully, they can do something about it, but it's too late. Your daughter's already hurt. But now they can do something about it, but your daughter's already hurt. You brought a child into the world. She took your place, and she's hurt like you are. So.
And then fast forward now, full custody. Let's go back to first 2015 when the judge gave John 50-50 custody. Why did he do that? That just doesn't make sense to most people.
I am flabbergasted about that.
It doesn't make sense because the situation wasn't done properly in the first place. In the foundation you build that is shaky, it's not strong enough, it's going to crumble the house, and then you're going to say, well, that doesn't make sense.
Myself, I feel like he just didn't take into consideration and ignored the fact that I was a rape victim, because it was said in court, it was brought up, so he knew about it, and he just blatantly ignored it.
And so, if you did 50-50 custody, then why were you ordered to pay child support then?
They told me, his attorney presented to the judge that I should be making a lot more money than what I was making, just because I have a degree. And so they put down my income as something much, much larger, over twice the amount of money that I was making.
Wow.
Yeah, they basically just came up with their own figure of what they assumed her income should be.
Out the damn air.
Out of thin air. They assumed an income and based the child support off of that assumed income. But let me just say for the record, that income was still nowhere near the income that he was actually bringing home. And she was still ordered to pay child support.
That is just mind-blowing. And so, Krista, 2022, how does he get full custody? What's the age of your child now? And why is he getting full custody?
My daughter is almost 16. She'll be 16 next month. And when we went to court, basically my attorney had a status with the judge. I wasn't even in the judge's chambers when this was talked about, but what she informed me was they're accusing me of giving the child another cell phone that he doesn't have, that the father doesn't have access to, and the judge didn't like that. So he awarded sole custody to the father
Over a cell phone.
And I haven't even been given a chance to defend myself because I didn't give her a phone in the first place, another phone. So without even talking to me or letting me speak or anything, he just signed the papers.
Do you feel, Krista, like in the twilight zone? Like, what the hell is going on here? I am the victim. My child now is being treated like a victim as well and going from one place to another place. And I have to pay the man who raped me child support.
100%. I feel like this isn't, how is this real life right now? I don't understand. I just don't know what to do or what to say because I never thought that this could happen. I was told by multiple attorneys and people in the legal field that oh no, you have nothing to worry about. That would never happen. You have to fail multiple drug tests. You have to neglect your child. You have to do this, this, and this, which I've never, ever, ever done. And there's never, ever been anything against me like that. So how could something like this happen?
If you're trying to make sense of it, let me know if you do, because I certainly can't. There's much more to Krista's story. She's fighting back in the courts. She needs help. Details on how you can support her next here on The Factor Uncensored. And welcome back to The Factor Uncensored. One of the craziest child support and rape cases I've ever heard of, and likely you too as well. A mother is campaigning to get custody of her daughter from her own alleged rapist. A lot of attention has been brought to Krista Abelset's case ever since it was broken by Chris Nakamoto, investigative reporter in Baton Rouge at WBRZ TV. And she's also getting help to see her. She's hoping to get help to see her alleged rapist prosecuted in this case. It's just crazy.
You can later get child support from them.
And Stacey, you've been helping her and supporting her through this. In the beginning, was there ever a police report filed for rape? And do you think that made a difference in this case long term?
Well, to answer that question, she did file. She did file a police report. She filed in 2015. She pressed charges against him. But it didn't go anywhere. The charges just vanished in thin air, and it's been 7 years later, and they're still saying that it's open. And the problem we've had, and the reason why I had to go to the media, is because we couldn't get anywhere with the legal system. Every place we went, they could not help us. We went to other agencies. We went to representatives.
Because she was to report a rape of a man who they may not have had in the records. They probably looked up and see if he had a record. of any sort. And if it's, what can you do at that point? I mean, because people do this all the time. There are 16-year-old girls, 17-year-old girls who get in a relationship with older men, and it's consensual. And it's not right, but it happens. So they don't know. Legal system is not their fault. It's what you bring them. You have to bring evidence. That's why it was important in 2005 when she was 16, she was raped. Take her evidence to the hospital. She wouldn't have had a 16-year-old child today if she didn't want to. She would have been helped. She would have even got advocates. She would have been able to go to court. She would have been able to have this man prosecuted. And then today, her life would have been much better because she wouldn't have had that child, and she would have had advocacy today. She wouldn't have the financial issues she's having today. And she wouldn't have to fight the courts because she already took care of that in 2005. She wouldn't have to be in this situation.
Senators, you name it, we contacted all these people, and they told us they could not help us because the case was still open. So then my response was, okay, so they get to keep a case open for 50 years, so nothing happens. And the rapist doesn't get justice isn't served, and the rapist just gets to walk around scot-free. Why the victim is paying for it?
Well,
Exactly. I mean, it's just mind-blowing that this would be allowed by the courts. Have you looked into the courts and any connection with any of these people that could be out there?
Well, we absolutely know there's political corruption involved just for the sheer fact that, like you said, it's the Twilight Zone. A man that rapes a woman, a child, man that rapes a child when she's 16 years old, he's 30 years old, does not get to rake that person through the coals for 10 years of her life and get custody of a child if some type of political corruption is not going on.
And Krista, you and your daughter are stuck in the house. How's your daughter reacting to all of this? And to have it also, you need it at this point, but to have it in the media, how is your daughter reacting to all of this?
Well, I've only gotten to see her, during my supervised visitations.
Oh my God. That's just mind-blowing.
I really can't speak for her at the moment. She, is dealing with it in her own way.
Right, and she's not allowed to discuss, and she does not. Krista does not discuss the case with the child. So, we don't have any idea, how she's even doing or how she's processing this. Krista has no means of actually any type of a communication with her to be able to know even how the well-being of her own child. Because she's been court ordered, she cannot discuss anything with the child.
And so far, despite the publicity you're getting nationwide now, no one in Louisiana, no elected official, no advocacy groups besides yourself, no one's coming forward to help her.
We've had one group come forward. It's the Sean Cassidy with LaFosfa in Louisiana. He's come forward and he's gone on the news and interviewed and stated the facts that we know, that the law says that his parental rights shall be terminated the minute that it's determined that this was a cause of a rape. Well, we knew that from the beginning because she was 16, he's 30, and there was a child born. That's carnal knowledge of a juvenile, according to law state of Louisiana. And that did not take place. They did not. They just kept going with the custody and so forth. But no, that's what I'm trying to say. That's why we had to come to the media. I contacted every office I could possibly contact and got nowhere.
So, Krista, what do you do now? I mean, it's tough, it's sad, it's unbelievable to the average viewer out there that you can be raped and then you have to pay your rapist child support, and then the rapist gets custody, full custody of your child at 16 years old. And do you feel like your daughter's safe with him? I hate to ask that question, but we know what happened with you. Do you feel like your daughter's...
She, under no circumstance is that a safe environment for a child.
Incredible. Well,
And
we
the
know
other-
you guys
the
have
other-
to go. We want to thank you for dropping by the Factor Uncensored. And of course, for people, Stacy, who would like to reach out and help you guys, where can they reach you? Where can they find you?
Okay, so we have a page set up through our foundation, through SaveLivesFoundation.org, and I will send you the links for that. If people could go and donate, because this poor mother has legal fees and bills piled up. I mean, she's had to. It's unfathomable, literally, how far in debt she's had to get just to be able to sustain and survive because of the agony that she's been drugged through from her rapist.
Never seen anything like it before. WBRZ TV in Baton Rouge reports the alleged rapist is now a respected businessman in that community who has a contract with the police department in that area. Krista says you can put two and two together why her rape case against the father, that man, has been in limbo for 7 years.
Well, she decided to make it a rape case 7 years ago, for one thing, when it should have been a rape case that was nipped in the bud in 2005 when it happened. And then life would have been way more better for her today. But it's hard for some people to see, some women or some men to see that sometimes you have to swallow that pride and uh, that feeling of guilt or whatever you feel, the fear, whatever there is, and report. When someone has done you wrong, someone's done something against you, you cannot live just holding it to yourself, because it's going to bring out a whole host of other issues and problems in your life. All of that needs to come out eventually. You cannot hold it within you. You have to have others happy to cope with it, deal with it, and get through it. And you don't want to end up like this woman with your daughter being harmed or your child being harmed because you didn't make the right decisions and the right choices at the time in your life when you should have been thinking in the right way, thinking ahead of things, and protecting yourself. It's not your fault that this happened, but we can always protect ourselves once we realize something is happening against us. So, with that said, that'll be it. But like I said, it's a whole lot of things going on. The gas station that I was at the other day, the owner and employee got shot. It's just like, wow. It's just, shooting is ramping crazy these days. And it's always something. It's always something. So be safe out there, family. And always remember, you are the light bearers. You are the light bearers. You're the bearer of knowledge, information, hopefully not inflammation, but information. So with that said, always remember, true love, real peace, the higher self within you, the next peace.